that one of the girls who was affiliated with the guy who paid for the ticket said that she had sold SOLD, my daughter, 2 weeks prior to a man. When they found her, she was basically sitting in a ball naked, kind of curled up in a fetal position. I want people to see, that she was naked. So they covered her up. Basically, they were on their way to Walmart at the time, and they took her in, put her in the car, and got her some clothes at Walmart, and took her back to their place.
20-year-old Alexis Scott disappeared from Peoria, Illinois after attending a party in the early morning hours of September 23, 2017. To fully understand what may have happened to Alexis, you have to go back several weeks to a tragic event that happened to her during a trip that she made to Vegas. Alexis didn't tell her mom April all of the details of what happened during that trip, but her mom could see the bruises on her when she returned. When Alexis disappeared in September, her mom started to learn more about the terrible ordeal from others that she had confided in. Was this connected to her disappearance just weeks later? I'm Marissa, and this is episode 110 of The Vanished. Alexis Scott's story. Since Alexis disappeared, her mom April has been fighting to find answers to the many questions surrounding her daughter's disappearance. Alexis is a daughter, a sister, and a friend to many, but she's also a mom. She has a 2-year-old son that she adored. One reason that her family is so concerned about her disappearance is that they know that Alexis would never go this long without contacting her little boy. She wouldn't have just walked away and left him behind. April has been caring for Alexis' son since she went missing. You may hear him a couple times during my interview with April.
She can't go even a few days without knowing that her son is okay, checking on him, want pictures, and not seeing him is something that she couldn't do. She would often, if she was going to be gone for a while, say, "Hey, Mom, give me some pictures, do something." She would have contacted me way before now if she had the ability to do so.
Leading up to her disappearance, Alexis had been living at home with her mom, brother, and her son. On the evening of Friday, September 22nd, April and Alexis' son went to bed, but Alexis and her brother stayed up. They were talking while she was communicating with some people on social media. He remembers her leaving that night sometime between 11:30 and 12. When April woke up the next morning, she noticed that Alexis wasn't home, and her son told her that she had left the night before. Alexis had made plans with her mom that day, so she tried to reach her to figure out what was going on.
Sometime Saturday, I called her a couple times, I think, in the afternoon to see, where she was and why she hadn't gotten back home, because we had plans for the weekend. And I didn't get a call. I didn't get an answer when I called her, so I waited a while, and then I called her again on Saturday, probably 4 or 5 times I called her up until about a little after 9, and I didn't get a response. And I texted her a couple times using her Facebook app, because that's the way we kept in touch, because she didn't want to pay her cell phone bill. She said she had money for other things. So Sunday came around, and I called, and that was September 24th, and I called her using the Facebook app, and I got no response, so I called again around 11 o'clock Sunday, and I still got no response. So I texted hello, and she didn't respond. And so I went on about my day, getting ready for Monday, because it was a work day coming up, and I didn't text her again until Monday night, around 7:30-ish, thinking, wow, she should have been home by now. If she was, going out with her friends for the weekend, she would definitely, be home by Tuesday, Monday going into Tuesday. And I didn't get a response. So, again, around 7:30 or so, text her again, I called her and no response. So I texted her and I said, please call home, and she didn't respond. And I wasn't able to sleep well Sunday night going into Monday. So about 1 o'clock Monday morning, I texted her again, and I called, and I didn't get a response. So then Tuesday, I was like, wow, this is like crazy. Like later on Tuesday, after I got off work, I tried calling her, and I didn't get a response. So then when I got off work, I called her and didn't get a response. So I told her, hey, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to file a missing persons report, because she had been through an ordeal about 3 weeks prior.
This ordeal that April mentioned was the trip that Alexis had made to Vegas. Alexis had met a man that describes himself as a party promoter who also supposedly recruits women for things like modeling and backup dancing. From what we can gather, Alexis was under the impression that she was going to Vegas for a few days to work as what she described as an escort and essentially be eye candy for men at a party. This man purchased tickets for Alexis and a friend to travel from Illinois to Las Vegas for this event. Once they arrived, Alexis learned that the party was canceled and things took a frightening turn. April was back in Illinois with no idea what was happening in Vegas. She tried to contact her daughter several times, but each time she called, she would either get a man or the friend that had been there with Alexis. When Alexis didn't make her scheduled flight home, April began to grow more concerned. Then, April received a telephone call from a woman in Sacramento, California, who had found Alexis several hundred miles away from where she had been in Vegas.
A lady called me from California and said she had found my daughter on the Strip in California, that she had been forced into prostitution, that's not what she went out there for, and that my daughter had told her the story. That she basically went out there on a trip to be with friends and to go to a bachelor party, and when they got there, they found out that the party was canceled. After they got there, not before they left on a plane trip, but after they actually got to Las Vegas, that she escaped whoever had taken her in California and did so naked. And when they found her, she was basically sitting in a ball naked, kind of curled up in a fetal position. I want people to see, that she was naked, so she still had a sense of pride. So they covered her up. They were on their way to Walmart at the time, and they took her in, put her in the car, and got her some clothes at Walmart, took her back to their place. Said she had nothing on her, not a purse, not shoes, not socks, nothing. She was butt naked, no belongings. And they contacted me, and the girl basically did most of the talking. My daughter wouldn't get on the phone. And she said, she told me my daughter's name, told me what happened. And I was like, kind of demanding, I need to talk to her, make sure it's her, because I've been calling her phone and not getting an answer, and I need to make sure it was her. And I could tell my daughter was really upset, just by the way she was talking to me. Her tone was very not like her, but she still didn't tell me what happened. And she needed a bus to her home, and I asked her how come she didn't make the flight, and she said too much to talk about, just get her home right away. So I got everything together, and that was on September the 1st. It was the first time I heard from her. And she was due back home, I believe it was the Monday prior to that date.
April was able to get Alexis back home on a bus, and two of her friends picked her up at a bus station in the Chicago area and brought her back to Peoria. April noticed that Alexis was bruised up and appeared to be shaken by what had happened during her trip, but she didn't want to talk about it. She was afraid that her mom would go to the police. Alexis did write a post on Facebook about being kidnapped and forced to do things that she didn't want to do. She mentioned that during this time, she wasn't able to say anything because she was being watched the entire time. If you look at her Facebook page for this time period, she goes from sharing videos from Vegas where she looks excited to just posting random things. It wasn't what you'd expect to see from someone visiting a new city for the first time. There were no more videos or pictures from her trip after the ones she posted when she initially arrived. It's unclear if someone was having Alexis make random posts on her Facebook page to make it appear that she was active on social media, or if someone else was making those posts while logged into her account. April didn't know all of the details of what happened in Vegas and California, but she knew enough to be frightened for her daughter. When April again couldn't find Alexis just weeks later after she had left late at night to go to a party, it was like she began reliving that nightmare all over again. Just to clarify, the two men that April mentions in the following clip are the friends who had driven Alexis back to Peoria from the bus station in Chicago.
So I was like, I'm not going to go through this again. So I went ahead and texted her, like I said, and let her know I was going to file a missing persons report. And on my way home, I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go home and see if she's home. In the process, I drove by where one of her friends worked that she had been corresponding with during the time of her trip back to Peoria from California/Las Vegas. And he just so happens he was a peddler in the area, and he was at the gas station. And I pull up to the gas station. I'm kind of frantic by then, and I say, hey, have you seen Alexis? And he says, not since the weekend. I said, what do you mean the weekend? And he said that him and another guy who also was part of her return to Illinois had worked together to get her back from Chicago to Peoria from the Greyhound bus station. And I said, well, okay, so what's he got to do with it? And he said, well, he and I and her went out riding around, smoking a joint, and I was getting tired, and so I wanted to go home. And during that time, Alexis had gotten a text about a party that was going on in the area, not too far from the local gas station. She was planning on attending, but he hadn't been invited. And so he went on home, he says. And the driver of the car that they had drove around with agreed, I guess, to take her to the location of 100 Richmond Avenue. So I asked him to contact the other guy, and he did while I was sitting there. And he said the last time he saw her, he had taken her back to our house to change clothes, and she changed clothes and went to the 100 block of Richmond Avenue. He wasn't sure which house he dropped her off at. It seemed like it might have been between two houses, so he wasn't sure because all the houses in that location, which is about 3 houses, had people outside on the porch, so he wasn't really sure which house she walked up to, but that she was going to meet a guy that confirmed that he had a blunt or some marijuana or something that they were going to smoke. That was the last time he saw her. And I was like, well, that's really weird. I said, so he didn't go back and pick her up? And he said, no. I said, wow, okay. So I came back home, and she wasn't here. And so I asked her brother about what I had been told about her coming back Saturday morning, early hours, because she didn't have a key. Somewhere between her trip to California and Las Vegas, she lost her house key. Her cell phone was taken during that trip time, her iPhone that she had. I wasn't sure what phone she had with her. I knew she had a phone, but what the phone looked like, all I know was black. I didn't know, who the carrier was or the name of the phone brand and that. So I asked him, I said, did she come back home and change clothes? And he said, no, Mom. He said, if she had to come back home, I would have had to open the door, and she usually knocks on my window to let her in. And he said he didn't remember her coming back to change clothes. So at that point, I went ahead and called the police station and told them that I wanted to make a missing persons report, that I hadn't seen my daughter since Friday, and told the officer who came what I had been told by her friend's so-called associate, and that where he was. And the officer, at first, he really happy, like doing his job, no big deal. When he came back from talking to the young man at the gas station who had last seen her on that Saturday/Friday, he seemed visibly disturbed. He wasn't the happy, jolly person that was here to go and talk to the young man, and he said at that time he was going to file a missing and endangered report on my daughter. When I asked him what changed his mood, he didn't really respond. He just kind of said, well, let's go on, let's get this paperwork signed, and you get this in right away. And I said, okay.
After April reported Alexis missing, she began contacting more friends. This is when she learned that Alexis had expressed concerns for her safety.
Then I proceeded to contact her other female friends that she often associated with, and no one seemed to have heard from her or seen her. I got on her social media at that time to see if she had been on Facebook, if